the ESPN College Football YouTube channel. I am Matt Barrie. We are making history today. Well, why is that, Matt? Well, because we have a 12-team playoff for the first time in college football history that we're going to recap. And I want to start with this because everybody's going to have their opinion this morning. Everyone. I'm going to read the scores of the opening round of the college football playoff at home sites. It started Friday. Notre Dame, Indiana at South Bend. First time in Notre Dame history there's been a Friday football game. 27-17 all Irish. Keep that in mind because that one now seems to be the most competitive of the lot when we thought it was the absolute most boring game. Score number 2. Penn State, SMU, 38-10. Beat down. Score number 3, 38-24. Texas over Clemson. Beat down. Score number 4. I can't count this morning. I'm tired. Ohio State, Tennessee, 42-17. Those are the 4 scores from the opening round of the college football playoff. Now, throughout the weekend, and I was one of them, I was guilty of being one of them, I made the comment of people that didn't play anybody should be a legitimate discussion when it comes to playoff criteria, which is to say strength of schedule needs to be accounted for much more. I still believe that. As the weekend went on and blowout after blowout after blowout continued to happen, I finally settled on this one, and I can't wait to get Paul Finebaum's opinion on this. I've settled on this. 2 things can be true with the expanded college football playoff. I firmly believe this is where we are Sunday morning, 8:15 a.m. after the first round. 2 things can be true. Part 1, college football playoff expansion is amazing. It's exciting. It got us all fired up for home crowds, home atmospheres, and everything in between with hosting a playoff spot. It's great. It is absolutely great to have 12 teams in a playoff playing for a national championship home sites. That's part 1. That's true. Part 2, which is something that I harped on pre-expansion, and it's even more evident today. It is crystal clear that in no world, on any year, in any given year of college football, there are not 12 teams capable of winning a national championship. There just aren't. Whether you like to admit it or not, whether you like to say like, oh, let's give this guy a chance, let's give the little guy a chance. There just aren't 12 teams that are capable of winning a national championship. I would say on any given year, 5, maybe 6. And at the end of the day, don't be surprised. We still haven't seen Arizona State play. I think the Sun Devils are good because alma mater. Who knows how they'll fare against Texas? Boise State has to play Penn State. Who knows how they'll fare against the Nittany Lions? They had the 80th ranked strength of schedule at Boise State, which is the lowest among any teams in the college football playoff. But it's going to come down to this. I said it coming into the college football playoff and expansion, and I'll say it now. Do not be surprised when we get to the semifinals that it's same as it ever was. It's going to be a collection of the same 4 or 5 teams that have always competed for national championships. Because at the end of the day, while 12 teams is really good for the sport because it gives us college football playoffs around the holidays, watch how this goes. Even when they're reseeded, there are not 12 teams capable of winning the national championship. And that's okay. And you're going to have blowouts like this. Even in the 4-team era, there are people saying, oh, there's too many teams. Well, yeah, we know that. In the 4-team era, there were blowouts in the semifinals right from the get-go. It happens all the time. You know what's funny, by the way, is maybe the BCS had it right all along because we've seen blowouts with 4 teams every year. And then you get to the national championship with the 2 teams. You had a great game. I'll give you one more example before we check in with Paul Finebaum. We were doing yesterday on ESPN, yesterday on ABC, we were doing the FCS playoff bracket. And we were doing the FCS semifinals. And the FCS, for those that you don't know or pay attention, it's really damn good football, by the way. Pay attention to it. There are 16 teams in the FCS playoff bracket. Let that sink in. 16 teams play for an FCS national championship. Yesterday, the semifinals on ABC. January 6th, national championship FCS. top seeded Montana State, number 1 seed, number 2 seed North Dakota State. You can play a bracket. You can throw 16 teams in. It's all well and good. But at the end of the day, seed number 1, seed number 2 are playing for a national championship. So as we recap this morning with Finebaum, my stance on it is simple. 12 teams, good for the sport.